Namaste everyone. Today is Natural Ecology Group 64th webinar, and today's topic is cereal millets as a staple food and local versus non-local food, and what are the truth and myth. And today our speaker is Dr. Kadravalli, the millet man, millet messiah. And nowadays we don't need any special introduction to Dr. Kadar because of his he is very familiar locally, nationally, and internationally because of his work, effort, dedication to introduce the millets, especially the Siridhanyas, Siri millets, and showing a way, giving many examples, healing many people to be free from all modern life diseases. This what with these wonder grains. Since we been associated with him, we are following his lifestyle and teaching guidelines, topics, and meetings. In the last 2 years, we also started sharing our experiences to multiply them. And very frequently, we got this question is the paddy rice and wheat are our traditional food, our ancestral food. Especially the people who are in the coastal regions, we are eating these grains from many generations, and these city millets are not for us, and also the local and non-local food. I mean, people are accepting the quinoa, accepting the chia seeds, accepting the dragon fruits, ready to import the apples, but no, eating all the Maggi noodles and all the stuff. But intellectually, we are not in a position to accept, forget about the following or tasting or experiencing. Just accept that these wonder grains are our staple food from the many generations. And the first thing they quote is, these are not local, these are not our food, and we can't digest them. Our body is not supported to genetically adaptable. All the funny questions. So even we are trying our best to communicate our experiences, but still having a dedicated webinar on this topic from Dr. Kajar makes us many more insight, give insight into this, and also his experience will show us many ways to communicate this. With this, we hand over to Dr. Kajar to speak about Siridhanyas.
Yeah, of course, the Siridhanya's breadth and width of the topic is very big. But good evening to everyone, NELG audience, and everyone who is joining to this program on all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Zoom. And it is very obvious that if your food is right, there is no need for medicine. And if your food is wrong, no medicine works. This is the fundamental axiom on which human race should be living by now. But the fact is just the other way around. Corona is very prime example that has brought out the deficiencies of human understanding about food. If food were to be right, we wouldn't have been bothered by Corona or Corona 28, Corona, whatever nonsense names that we can give. The fact is that we are completely immune compromised in this particular incident of so-called pandemic situation all over the world. But then if people watch very carefully, you could easily come out with the answer that if people were to have the immunity strong, immunity strong, immunity strong. Till today, rather, till I started mentioning this way back in January 1st, that if you're immune strong, nothing bothers you. So that means we didn't understand what food was before, and even today, people are not understanding. Of course, the central theme of present day talk is that the paddy rice is our food for generations, and which is absolutely not a fact. I would like to take you back to way back recent diggings in Kadaba, African country. I think in 2014, 2010 to 14 or so, in that range, there came a paper, Anthropological Studies, in which the caucuses of the teeth and gums of, and that carbon dating put this avashesha, what do you call, the remainings of the people, approximately 22 to 29,000 years ago or something like that, 29,000 to 49,000 years ago. So that's what we call real ancestry, am I right? See, all that we are talking now, including our Vedas, are all like 5,000 or 6,000 or maybe 10,000 years old. But I'm talking about a study that is so clear. Of course, you and I can have the question of the carbon dating efficiency, whether it is 20,000 or 40,000 or 50,000. It doesn't matter. What it establishes is, it is really ancestral solution that we found these people had in their gums and teeth. The C4 food, seeds and grasses, nothing else. And this rice and paddy, the wheat and paddy, both are C3 foods. So there is no doubt that the real ancestral food particles belong to C4 foods, and which incidentally the 5 millets, that Siridhanya that I am talking about, also belong to. And just to remove the confusion of this so-called, Sudhir was saying, intellectual guys or whatever group that they're talking about, is that the genetic nature of the C4 foods is that when they form the pinnacle, when they form the grain, after the inflorescence gets paraga samparka, that is, you have the andrecium and the gynoecium, both, and the insects or whatever mode of getting the pollination complete, the formation of the grains, the accumulation of carbohydrate, along with the fiber content that we are actually giving credit for these 5 grains. The beautiful way that the fiber and carbohydrate is arranged while the grain is formed is what makes these grains to fit the definition of food for human gut. Okay, these are the technical points that you all should clearly, carefully understand. And this genetic information in the C4 foods clearly specifies that the glucose is biosynthesized from the carbon 4 unit, oxaloacetic acid, oxalate. Okay. Whereas in C3 foods, your rice and wheat, it is from C3, pyruvic acid. So that first carbon attachment to the C3 to C4 is where you require a lot of water molecules. So the rice and wheat eventually benefit if you have more water when there is this grain is formed. That's why you have higher yields when you make the water stand in rice fields or wheat fields. Of course, wheat has another added genetically another characteristic, that the temperature has to be cooler outside. It cannot be 40, 35 like that. So we cannot grow wheat in the south because the temperatures are always beyond 25 or 40. So why Punjab grows wheat? Because its temperatures go down, go below even 10. So that is the difference between the rice and wheat. The rice can actually give up to 30-35 degrees, you can grow. But beyond, if it goes 40-45, rice also starts losing its efficiency. It cannot give yields. But then the amount of water and the temperature. These are the genetical information that everyone should be aware of. This is how they're designed. Whereas C4 foods are designed just the other way around. Because from C4 onwards, the glucose formation, addition of fifth carbon and the sixth carbon, doesn't require water. That's why foxtail millet, kodo millet, all these 5 millets, including finger millet also, even proso millet, all these millets, 10 millets that we talk about, can grow in less water. And it amounts to, less means really less. If you need 10,000 liters of water per kilo for wheat, for millets, these 5 millets, it is only 300 liters. And for finger millet and great millet, that is jola, and for corn, you need 900 to 1200 liters. So among the 10 millets that we are talking about, the neutral millets and the positive millets, there is 3 to 4 times more water requirement. That means if you can grow 1 kilo of finger millet ragi, you need 900 ml and liters of water per kilo, whereas these 5 millets can be grown in 300. That is 1:3. And when it comes to 10,000 liters for the C3 food, rice or wheat, approximately say 9,000 liters per kilo, just to calculate, 300 into 9,000. So you're talking about 30 times. 30 times requirement of water is more in C3 foods. 30 times, 30, kilo to kilo. And this is all genetic. You cannot do anything about it. It's already in there in this wonderful 5 grains. Apart from that, the fiber richness is another genetic code these wonderful grains are carrying, whereas these neutral grains do not have that kind of fiber content being keyed into the genetic information. So you understand basically the differences, technicalities of these grains, positive millets, neutral millets, and negative millets. I have grouped rice and wheat as negative millets because they cause havoc in the human body. And people are all thinking that rice is our local food, rice is a generation after generation. All generations that you guys are all talking about is not even 200 or 300 years. Maximum 300 years. I'm not intending to say that there was no rice before. There was no wheat before. There were. Raja Saitava is also recognized 10,000 years ago. It's not that they didn't exist, they existed, but they were not used as food because the conditions in which they were grown are tough, and to provide all that water and the cold weather for wheat was something which was very, very difficult for human race. So over a period of time, human race started technologically advancing and made these choices of food, industrial farming. That's when these things became easy for human race to grow. So the so-called people nearby delta regions and the river beds and all these people talking that, oh, we were growing. It's all not beyond 200 years. And if your human race is not just 200 years old, people are now talking about 20,000 years old back. So what is ancient? So right now, I think I have given you enough information for all of you guys, so-called scientists, so-called intellectuals. I use the word so-called very consciously. See, unless, and many Ayurveda pundits, many so-called doctors are also of the view that, oh, this is our food. And there are so many so-called pravachanakara who also, oh, we never ate millet, all these kinds of things. See, no one really has gone deep into finding out what people were eating. We have written Sanskrit Annakosha. Annakosha means people are all thinking it is white rice. And to that extent, people have become very, very uneducated in the sense that they are arguing with this kind of intentions or content. I'm very sorry to put across to these kinds of people that that's not what it is. Please have patience, go and do some research and find out what we are talking about. It's not just, and I'll come back to the local and universal concept. Food, that's a separate concept altogether, okay? What I'm trying to communicate to you is that paddy, rice, wheat, because of intrinsic genetic structure, they cannot be universal foods in a natural way. They have been artificially engineered. Please mark my words. They have been artificially engineered to be the chosen food of the human race in the last 30, 40 years. Before, it was not. These two grains were not the food of human race. Not only in India, all over the world. All over the world, there are more than 290 millets, different kinds of millets, all C4 foods, different regions, different. But the nature of it is to require less water when the grain is formed, and C4 to C6 glucose formation is a oxaloacetic acid route, and that's how they are completely differentiated from these negative grains, rice and wheat. So Raja Sataiva was there 10,000 years ago, and even before that we recognized these grains were there, and I have given you the evidence of the so-called scientific studies. And don't be enamored by the word science, science, science. The science that you guys are all talking about is Western science, and I have seen many of the so-called scientists not even knowing what scientific information is, how the data is collected, what are the methods, all kinds of, and there are people who have been writing, claiming themselves to be scientists and having scientific attitude, all these kinds of so-called semi-intellectuals reading and writing few books saying that there are mudhanamakalu, all this. See, there are zillions of information on this planet which we are not completely aware of. So each individual has only certain amount of knowledge. So don't judge everything just because you know this much. That the data that we have in front of the human race is enormous. So a single human being cannot comprehend all these issues. So unless you spend your lifetime on particular issue, and there will be a lot more left to know even in one particular subject. So let's not pass the judgments. These are the information that you people all have to be aware of when you talk about millets. It is just that people have forgotten. These are not old generation food. These are ancestral grains. The word ancestral is bigger, encompassing much longer time than old generations, okay? Old generation may be 10 or 20, 30 generation. I'm talking about something way, way beyond. So we have clearly established that millets not only have been around, and they have been food for the human race in different parts of the world. Just coming back to recent times of Jesus Christ ate non-leavened bread, which is actually, apparently, if you go deep and do research, will turn out to be either brown top or foxtail. And whether many people may not believe that Varahaswami or Rama, Krishna, whether they existed or not, you may have a disagreement. Some people strongly believe that these are all historical events that have happened. Whether to accept or not is a separate issue, but If you read the literature claiming that it's 5,000 years old or something like that, there are references whether in Ramayana or in Mahabharata, even recent, maybe Venkateshwara Swami, all these guys have been completely clearly mentioning of these millets, including Rama and Lakshmana grew actually same to have food when they went to Vanavasa. All these ullekhanas in our great texts, I can go on quoting one after the other to establish. And forget about India, go to pyramids. What grains you find in the mummies in their mouths is C4 grains again. Mostly they turned out to be, I believe, is Udulu, barnyard millet. And then you go to American continent, you have brown top millet all over. Even today, they are growing tons of brown top millet, but unluckily these guys have been misled by the so-called Western scientists. They are feeding the birds. The best grain that human race can have, they are feeding the bird, and the worst thing you can eat, they are eating. And that's why I call, if they are stupid, they are idiots. Because we follow the stupids, then we become idiots. So this is the information that you all guys should be completely aware of. And this is the background. And if people think that I do not know about the history of these grains, I can go on rambling. Each countries, you go to Nigeria, even today, the little millet is called African millet. And the German millet, it is Udulu. Barnyard millet is German, Japanese, Russian, all that Himalayan range and those, all these areas were Kodo millet, barnyard millet. Umpteen number of evidences are there. You only have to go and search in the literature of so-called science, okay? So I can go on giving you umpteen number of quotes, quotations, literature, and so if you have time, please go and do little work, okay? Now that I have told you so much, you all have to simply accept that it is a fact that it is not that rice and wheat were not there, but they were not the food, chosen food. They didn't exist because it was very difficult for human race to have them as food. They could not grow because of the condition, genetic information. But then in the last 100 years, we have been manipulating in different forms of biotechnology and technological advances. We're able to successfully grow them in large quantities, and the companies have taken over and then trying to push it into your mouths, and you all people think after eating this anyway, according to me, you all become less cognitive because it's always pushing glucose into your blood in heavy amounts. So your emergency metabolic activities are initiated, but not the real calm, good metabolic activities. And the cleaning properties of these wonderful 5 grains makes you healthy, and that is the most important thing that makes rice and wheat negative grains, because they cannot clean up themselves. When they will give you energy, they will give you glucose in large quantities in sudden rush, and that's what actually is the cause of disease formation when you eat these 2 grains. And if you are still not convinced, only God can save. Only God can save.
Yeah.
Why am I telling this? Because many people, because you have been used to this non-nutritious, non-healthy food, you have become addicted to the glucose that is pumping into your blood in fast condition, and you think you cannot survive with that, and unconsciously, subconsciously, whatever word you want to use. You are all not willing to accept the millets, the wonderful grains. They also give you glucose, but not like pumping in flood-like fashion. They give you in a controlled fashion, in a regulated fashion, absolutely balanced way. You get your glucose into your blood, whatever amount is required, such that there are no emergency metabolic active switches are switched on. So everything is calm and peaceful when you eat these wonderful 5 millets, because the glucose is released in quantums, in aliquots, and there is no rush in any part of any metabolic activities, whether liver is calm, spleen is calm, kidney is calm, your insulin producing pancreas is very calm, absolutely everything balanced, no hurry burry, everything is designed, and then you are doing your job. Apart from that, the wonderful lignans present in these 5 grains and the fiber, non-soluble and soluble, does the job of cleaning your body on a regular basis. And 5 different grains, 5 different forms of fiber, cleaning up almost all parts of your body, including neurons to your nephrotic cells. Everything is cleaned if you start eating these fried grains on a rotation basis. And that is the beauty of these wonderful 5 grains. And I'm not claiming these are the only 5 grains that are healthy. There may be many more. I had the opportunity and I am in a hurry because I want the concept to come back into the consciousness of human race. So I could not wait to work on another 5 grains to bring them back into consciousness, because I am already 63 years old now. So if I were not to start when I started 25 years ago, if only I had another 20 years behind, I would have had another 5 grains into our consciousness. And I request the next younger generations to look for another 5 grains so that all over the world people can grow in a different diversified fashion and the whole human race can be very healthy. And here comes the local, here comes the universal. So these 5 grains are universal because they can be grown anywhere, any part of the world, starting in Himalayas to Anantapur, where there is heat waves all the time. You understand that? Because genetically, these guys are designed by God. You don't need to do any manipulation. Again, all the so-called millet research fellows are talking all bhagwas things. You don't need to do. God is the biggest manipulator. You don't need to manipulate anymore. You just have to search for what he has given. That's as simple as that, okay?